Well, good evening, everybody. If you could do the usual, what we do every single time we do a live stream, and that is, can you let me know if you can see and you can hear and everything sounds okay, looks okay, and then we're going to get started with tonight's topic. So if you could let me know, that'd be fantastic, and then I'll go through and say a couple of welcomes, and I'll introduce Imran for anybody that may not know who he is, what he's about, or why he's paying me so much money to be on my live streams these days. You are paying me, yeah?
No, I'm not paying you a penny.
Right, there. Where's your eject button? How do I get rid of him? Anyway, so yeah, if you could let me know if you can hear and see if everything sounds and looks okay. Thank you very much, Stavros. Great to know. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to bring on Imran so he can say hello, let you know who he is, and we can go from there. So good evening, Imran. Thank you very much for joining me again tonight. So if you'd like to just let everybody know who you are, what you do, how they can find out more about you, and why you're not paying me, that would be great.
Hey, I'm Imran, Web Squadron. Based in the UK, we're a web design agency working on consultant and small business websites and anything else that comes through the door. We've spent, the last couple of years really helping people out. We're big Elementor users, but we also have a YouTube channel where we do Elementor videos and things like that as well. Look, if you ever want to watch our videos, or you don't know who I am, or you just want to join our Facebook group or anything like that, just type Web Squadron into YouTube and you'll find me all over the place.
Yes, he's
by the way, the reason I'm not paying Paul is because I'm probably doing Paul a favor by being on here. I'm probably helping his live chats go up from about 1 views to about, I'm helping him out.
Up to three views.
Yeah, 3. Yeah. We're doing all right.
Mutually beneficial. Okay, so let's first of all say thank you very much for joining me again tonight. And I'm going to say a couple of hellos to see who's in, and then we're going to start on our topic tonight. So let's have a quick spin back to the beginning. Now, as always, if you are new to the live streams, if you just put in the chat #new, just so I can see who the newbies are tonight, that'd be fantastic. And if at any point during tonight's live stream you've got any questions you want to ask, just put #Q, that's #Q. It makes it easy then so I can search through and I can find out what questions have been asked, and we can try to address those as we go through the live stream. So that's basically it. So first of all, let's have a couple of hellos. John, good to see you in tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. Volker, always a pleasure to have you in. Right, Dosits, I hope I said that correctly. If not, I do apologize, but thank you for joining us. Greg, always good to see you in as well. We've got Volker, well, we said you had 2 today now. Kevin, Soren, Kenneth, Greg, Dave Den, Donatis, Forid, Voros, Kolsinger, Alexa, me. Oh, strange. Always good to see you in as well, young man. Digital Hub, Mark Harris. He's a troublemaker. You've got to watch out for him.
Yeah.
Marius. And we've got Chris Crocher. Good to see you in as well. David Dennis, good to see you. Stavros. And lots and lots of others. So thank you very much for joining us. So for anybody that doesn't know what we're going to talk about tonight, is there's been a bit of a debate going on with various different plugins and tools like that about pricing structures. And this kind of led to Imran releasing a video yesterday with regards to pricing and kind of comparing the different pricing plans across various different tools in the WordPress ecosystem. And this is something that I looked at several months ago myself. So I would highly recommend checking out those videos because it'll kind of give you some background into what we're talking about tonight. But we're just kind of looking at the pricing structure, the way that things are kind of organized, and how sometimes it doesn't necessarily make an awful lot of sense. So, Imran, what was the reasoning behind your video yesterday? Because I think it'll be useful to sort of find out what you were thinking, what you're trying to get across, and then we can kind of have a chat about that.
Yeah, so I'm a big Elementor user. I really love using that, and when I was first looking at which tool to use for our agency and our website, there were so many different solutions out there, but Elementor was just different. And it had a great community, a user base and all of that. And for the last, I would say 2 to 3 years, it's been my tool of choice. But in the last sort of like 5 to 6 months, others are coming up. They're getting better and better. There was Breakdance, which was announced not too long ago, and it's in beta mode. And there was Bricks, that was there for a while, and they were improving. And I always kept my eye on them. Would I ever use them in shadow form or alongside Elementor? Now, like I said, Breakdance, we didn't really know what the prices were. There was a beta version you could download for free. And everyone was wondering, well, what would the pricing be? And a lot of us behind the scenes did say, well, I bet it won't be that dissimilar from Elementor. $49 for one license, or Bricks, which is $79 for one license, but it's a lifetime deal, like wow. And then Breakdance went and announced $149. And it's yearly. It is for unlimited websites. Now, at this point, you're going to go, hold on, $149. Of course, you've got to pay per year, but it's unlimited websites. Elementor, you've got to pay like $999 to get 1,000 licenses. This is after they hiked the price from $199. Bricks do allow you to have unlimited websites as well for $149. It is a lifetime deal, which again is super, super cool. However, Breakdance, when you look at them, $199, for unlimited websites and lifetime deal. That is a super offer. You cannot ignore that. But Breakdance have said one package, $149, unlimited websites. Now, before I go into why I really did the video, please understand that is $149 for now. I don't know when, but at some point in time, probably on Halloween night, it will go up by $200 to $349. Now, just look at those numbers for a moment. Don't look at me, don't look at Paul, just look at those numbers. If you are going to build 1,000 websites next year, you just pay $149 a year. Brilliant. If you build 10 websites with Breakdance, you still pay $149 a year. But what if you want to build one website? Okay, maybe you're not an agency. Maybe you're just a freelancer and you're using Breakdance. Maybe you're a charity. Maybe you're a designer building for a charity. You or whoever or the client is going to pay $149 for one license. Yep. And if you miss out on this deal, we're now talking about $349. And the video I did yesterday looked at, well, how much would it... To be honest, I didn't really care about the unlimited license bit. I was saying, how much would it cost for you to use Elementor, Bricks, Breakdance, Quickly, GeneratePress as well for just one license? Because that's all you need. And if you miss out on the $149, after 3 years, you will have paid back over $1,000 for one website. You could quite easily throw things at me and go, yeah, but you get unlimited websites. Yeah, I know you do. But what if you only want it for one website? So for a lot of us, and there's people on the chat here who have raised concerns or issues with this as well, why Breakdance have just introduced a one package solution, which is $149, really doesn't make sense to me. Elementor let you buy one license for $49. Bricks let you buy one license for $79 lifetime. Why can't Breakdance give us a one site license for maybe $79? I know a lot of people that would happily pay $79 for Breakdance. Maybe you could have a tier 2, which would be $99 for 3 licenses. And after that, it jumps up to the $149. And even if the price goes up to $349 in a couple of months' time or whenever they decide to do it, for unlimited websites, people won't mind paying the upgrade. That's the whole reason we have the structures, right? It's like cars. You have your basic car, which will cost X. You have your next level that's got all your aircon and your alloys and your camera. And then you have your sports version. You have tiers. It's a pricing model. It's a pricing ladder. With Breakdance, there is no pricing ladder. It is $149 regardless. And I'm sure Paul will talk about this as well. We have challenged, in a good way, in a constructive way, Louis, from Breakdance to kind of go, look, we want to use this. We want to promote it. We want to let people know that, you know what? This is actually quite a neat product. It's still in beta mode, but it's got legs. It's got more legs than a millipede. This could grow and become really good. But you're asking people who maybe are a bit unsure about using Breakdance maybe, or remember, it is beta mode, right? We don't even have a final version yet. And what you're saying is, if you want that final version, you've got to pay $149. Yes, you get unlimited websites, but I'm going to give you an analogy, and then I'm going to hand back to Paul. If McDonald's currently sells 6 chicken nuggets, I love the chicken nuggets. They also sell 9 chicken nuggets and 20. You don't want 20, you just want the 6. You go into McDonald's and they go, sorry, you got to pay for the 20. So I've got to pay a premium to get 20 nuggets when all I ever wanted was the 6. Right? So just a pricing ladder would entice many more people. Because I'll tell you now, when Elementor had the 199 model for 1,000 licenses, a lot of us have got that. Right now, how many people are actually paying $999 for 1,000 Elementor licenses? I don't know the numbers, but I don't think it's that high. And I'm going to base that on Black Friday and like whenever like people use the affiliate links. Not many. Most people go for either maybe the 199 or the 99. Well, the 49 and 99 are the big hitters. People tend to go for 1 license or 3. Breakdance at the moment, in my opinion, are thinking that loads of people are going to jump in because they want loads of licenses. And I think, look, I get it, but just offer a reduced package of $79 for 1 license.
That's fair enough, yeah. I mean, I'm going to answer this question that Ian Mitchum has kind of popped up, the comment. Say, at the end of the day, it's really none of yours or my business what anyone charges. I would totally agree with you, other than the fact that while we're talking about breakdance, Lewis asked about pricing. He asked for feedback. He's asked me for figures to do with Elementor, to do with affiliate sales. There's been quite a few different comments and questions. So at the end of the day, no, it's not until the actual developer opens up and asks you for information and feedback about the licensing and the pricing, at which point you ask the question, you get the answers. If you don't like the answers, don't ask the question. So that does actually make it anyone else's business that's involved in that forum. And when he comes onto my Facebook group or Imran's Facebook group and continues the conversation about pricing, he obviously wants to know what people think about the pricing structure. So there is that you have to take into consideration. Now, before we go any further, and I sort of ask Imran more questions and then give my opinion on a few bits and pieces, if you enjoy what we do tonight and you want to show your appreciation, hit that thumbs up button, because it does help out and tell YouTube and the algorithm that you like what we do. Okay, so first of all, let's kind of talk about just pricing in general. And let's take, for example, something like Elementor. So we're not going to pick on one particular page builder or anything else like that. And this isn't limited to just page builders. Let's keep that clear from the get-go. This is about WordPress as a whole. Some of the pricing sort of, how can you say, the pricing tendencies that you tend to see, which are not necessarily what you would consider to be that logical. But let's just go for taking a look at something like Elementor. They've kind of streamlined this a little bit because, well, you can see they put their three pro website activations for $99, and they've kind of just shoved that out of the way. Maybe that's because my screen's a bit smaller, I don't know. But either way, you're talking $49 for your first one, $99 for 3 sites, $199 for 25, and then currently $399 for 1,000 sites. And I know the argument gets made that, well, at 1,000 sites, it's going to cost you, at $1,000, it's going to cost you $1 per license. And that's great if you have 1,000 clients all using Elementor. Otherwise, if you have one client and you had that license, it would cost you $1,000. So, there is a bit of a disparity there. But you take a look, your one website license, what's the point in it? Well, I would say that the point in it is there's 3 reasons why people will buy an individual license to a product like this, or a form builder, or whatever you kind of talk about. You've got one, which is the solo person that's building their own website, and they've learned that Elementor is the dog's danglies, and it's like, right, I'm going to buy that. $49, I can live with that. That's $50 a year, 50 quid a year, no problem. Your second person is you've got a freelancer, an agency, a business building a website for clients, and then they say, you pay for the license is now your responsibility, so you pay that annually. Therefore, $50 kind of thing. Then you've got the third type of person, which I would say I fall into, which is, this looks interesting, I wouldn't mind testing that out. $49, I'll take a punt on it. I'll try it, I'll see what it's like. And forget about the fact that, okay, I now do this for a living and I create content on YouTube and stuff. I've been doing web design with clients for 15 plus years, and probably 10 years of that plus has been with WordPress. So I bought a lot of themes, plugins, and all those kinds of things for that very reason. I've got a project in front of me and I need tools to do something that I'm not that accustomed to. I need something that does that job. Well, if I go onto a site and it's like there's 50 quid, $50 for a license for that particular product and I can test it out, I'll buy it and I'll try it. And if it doesn't work, and I've done that many times in the past, it doesn't fulfill what I need 100%. So therefore, you don't bother. However, when you know that you've tested something out and the price is not a barrier to entry, it's actually enticing that you can spend that amount of money, many, many times you'll then go up to the next tier or full tier, whatever the kind of thing is. And I think this is what's being missed out with a lot of different companies, where they either don't put a single site license in, or the single site license is like $49 and the 1,000 activation license is $79 or $99. It's like, it just seems silly. I understand the whole point of people going like, well, but that's because they want you to go onto that 99 or 299 or whatever the price is going to be for the unlimited sites. But whenever you ever had any plugin theme or whatever, which you would use unlimited licenses for, Christ, how many people would use 1,000 licenses? I would much rather see, using Elementor again as example, 1, 3, 25 and 200. And that makes it sensible. 1,000 activations for most agencies are never going to use that kind of amount. Plus, you potentially open up more revenue, because if you said that was like $299 for 200 licenses, people would jump on that. There was a comment up on my Facebook group today saying, when you buy the 25 license, when you got your 26th customer, that next license, if you went up to the 1,000 activations, is going to cost you $800. Even if you didn't go, you went to the 25, it's still, that next client costs you $200. Doesn't matter. You may never get another client. And I think this is what people don't necessarily understand when they look at pricing their products. I mean, would you agree with the sort of the three types of people that would buy or have a reason for a single site license?
Yeah, absolutely. And I completely agree with everything you said. And I just want to make a point there about the Elementor. So when we started, we went in with the $199 for the 1,000 licenses. We've only used up 82 because you have clients, and 92. You have clients, they drop off, they come and go, see a license, wobble a little bit. What I've now realized is that we never should have done that, because when we took on clients and we have care packages, as part of the monthly care package, the Elementor Pro license was included into that. So we're supplying it for them. But what we've now done is create a rod for our back. I'm not going to leave Elementor. I love using Elementor, but let's just say in 3-4 years' time I did. I'm still going to have to pay the license because my clients' websites are on it. Whereas if I had now said to my clients, you buy the license and you pay for that, it's their responsibility to pay for that, and I can go away and do whatever I want. So this whole thing, I'm now of the mindset where I will only buy unlimited licenses for a product if I know it's something I'm going to use in, day out. Maybe it's something like Atarim. Maybe it's like managing, the updates for websites. So, it's something more to do with like internal administration or something like that, and I want to use it for all of our websites. But I think now my mindset has changed a lot in terms of any new clients we take on now. Even when we have a care package, they still have to pay for Elementor themselves. They have to pay for their domain themselves and their hosting themselves, because that then means if we fall out or whatever, or I drop dead or whatever happens, their website is still functioning or they're still protected. Because, let's be realistic here. If something happens to me or I go bankrupt or something, I owned their Elementor Pro license and they might not know what the heck to do then when that happens. So I've deviated a little bit, but I've had a completely change of mindset in the last 12 months about the 1,000 licenses and unlimited. I now just prefer to know what is the cost per license, because I might use Bricks one day, I might use Breakdance somewhere else, I might one day use Gutenberg on another website, because whereas we sometimes say, this is what I'm going to use, now I'm going to say, what is the best tool to use? And it's a bit like gardening, right? You're not going to use your spade for everything. You'll use your spade for one thing, your hammer for another, your mallet, your sledgehammer, your fork, or whatever, okay? So whatever is the best tool to use at that point in time, I will use. And we could go on about tons of plugins, right? Bookings. There's Amelia. There's the WP booking system. You'll find out what is your client's spec, and then you will use the tool that meets the spec. Just because you got unlimited licenses for Amelia or whatever, you're not going to use that on every booking website because maybe it's not needed, right? So I just think that the majority of people using Elementor, and I am making an assumption here, I think a lot of them have either got the 1 or the 3 license packages with Elementor, and they're happy with that. And I would happily have a discussion with anyone and say, don't do what you've kind of just said, which is get the 1,000 licenses or, 25 licenses, because the minute you move to your 26th, well, it's a bit, look, I'm deviating again. It's a bit like SiteGround, right? We use SiteGround hosting. And a SiteGround shared hosting could easily handle about 21, 22 websites. When we had our 23rd, we had to go and get another SiteGround server. And guess what? We then had 3 clients leave us because they were shutting down their business, which meant if I had waited, we wouldn't have to pay for it. And I had to very painfully move some websites over from one server to another. Otherwise, we were paying double costs each year. So if you're really business savvy, how much does the unlimited package really matter?
Not as much as people think. And I think it's perception. You feel like unlimited sites, I could use this as much as I want. I mean, I'm literally grandfathered into the 1,000 activations for like $99. And like you said, I don't really use Elementor on a personal level anymore, but I've got most of my clients are using it for various different reasons. So I still pay that, but I don't really care because it's the cost of doing business. Yeah. You know, and I don't think we're kind of belittling people's pricing structure. I think there just needs to be a sense of logic in it. And I think that's the thing that seems to be missing, because you tend to find that you get 1 license, 3 or 5 licenses, 1,000. And it's like, it's just a perceived sort of benefit having that many.
Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down. I'm going to go down to another level in that other than the beta model or the beta version you can get with Breakdance at the moment, and I don't know if that will still be available when they have their final version, but Bricks don't give you a free version. There's a playground area so you can have a look at all that, but you got to pay for it. Elementor do provide a free version, which I think is brilliant, especially if you're trying to entice people to go for the pro version. But even then, the fact that Bricks don't do that, because it's $79 and it's a lifetime deal, you kind of look at it and go, wow, $79 lifetime. That's like it's like a bargain if you're going to use it in the long run. You don't feel bad about buying it. But at the moment, Breakdance, when they have the final version, will they still have a downloadable version? Will there be a playbook version? Will there be a free version? I don't think so. Indications to me look like there won't be. So it's like, you want to have a go? You know, you've seen the videos that Paul's doing and you're going, wow, I really want to have a go at it. But I've got to put down $149. And it's like 3 times the cost of an Elementor license. Because Breakdance is like, for some of us, it feels like an evolution of Elementor in a way. But it's 3 times the cost of an Elementor license and double the cost of Bricks, which is lifetime. So bear in mind, it's 3 times the price of the Elementor license now. That'll go up. Yeah. Just bear in mind that goes up to $349. So that's a lot more. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, absolutely.
You kind of have to bear that in mind. The other thing that I want to sort of talk about while we're sort of talking about Breakdance, and this isn't specific to Breakdance. I mean, there's other platforms do a very similar kind of thing. I remember Green Shift is a good example of this. Feature stripping. I mean, there was talk, and again, this isn't us making things up or picking. This is a catalyst for a video and a live stream like this, is where Imran and myself and other people in the Breakdance group have been having a conversation about the pricing, about the single site license, and all those kinds of things. And part of that was the developer, Lewis, kind of came back and said, well, would you pay this amount of money? And we take out the WooCommerce, we take out this, that, and the mega menu, we take these other things out. And it's like, what do you actually benefit from doing that? At the end of the day, you then have to maintain more products because you've got 2 different versions. You've got a feature stripped version and a full version. Plus, if someone's going to buy it because they want to see, are we going to move our agency, our freelancing business away from, Page Builder X and move it over to, for example, Breakdance? Well, if you just say, well, okay, you can start off at 49 or 79 or whatever it's going to be, but what you're going to get there is a neutered version of the actual product. No. So you can't try the entire thing out. If you want all the features, you've got to stump up twice the amount of money for a single site license to have unlimited, and then you can test out all the things. And like I say, this isn't limited to only Breakdance. GreenShift have different pricing structures, and you can buy a modular kind of way of doing it. If you don't want the WooCommerce, you don't have to buy it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with having a modular approach. I just don't really think it's the best way to have a modular pricing plan with a page builder. Just to make sense.
Yeah, it does. And if we remember, some of the promotions for Breakdance early on were, this is the new Elementor, this is going to take over Elementor in a way. They were using those words or something like that. And for me, it's like, so you're basically saying to the Elementor audience, hey, we know you love it, but hey, come over here, we've got something better. But we're not going to let you test it out. And if you had a free version that was neutered, I get it. It's like Elementor free. It's got loads of stuff. I get it. But 2 nights ago, he was jumping around. So Mark Harris, who's on here, and with you and with me, he was quoting different values. So he was saying, what if we do a neutered version for $49? Then to me, he said $79. So he wasn't even sticking to his pricing. Then he started saying, well, then, if you want the WooCommerce and all of that, you got to pay the full price. And the challenge that a lot of us put down to him was, why are you doing that? If you're going to have a neutered version, go for a free version, right? You could easily have a free version and you cut out loads of features. No one's going to hate you for it, because what you're allowing people to do is play around with Breakdance, get a feel for it. Do you like the interface? Do you like the settings? Does it make sense to you? Do you get that feeling like it is an evolution of Elementor or whatever? And if you like it, you pay up and you get the one license approach. And there is something else that Paul's not mentioned yet. So that was one thing about how he was saying we'll have a neuter down approach. But one thing he kept coming back to was the $149 is irrelevant, because, what is the value of your website? So if you're building websites for $3,000 or $1,000 or whatever, the $149 is irrelevant. And I've challenged him many, many times. I've even invited him 5 times, right? 5 times, everyone, to have a live chat with me, a one-to-one. Let's get it out. Let's debate. Let's challenge. Let's understand the business model. That it does not matter if the website you build for your client is $10,000, $1,000, $500, whatever. That is irrelevant. What we're saying is that you are putting us all into the agency package without considering the fact that if you only ever want to use Breakdance for one website, because there's going to be people out there, I am pretty sure the majority of Elementor users, and for other platforms, even Divi maybe as well, or other stuff, they're going to be, like charities, people that have a jewelry business, or whatever. It's a person on their own. They only need one license. So, I mean, there is a danger we go in circles during this conversation. I don't want to bore people to death, but I just don't, it's at the moment, any justification he's given for why he would do a neutered version or anything like that just does not make sense. And he does make a lot of claims about how this is going to be better than Elementor and all of this. However, I think Breakdance looks good and it's got legs, but I haven't seen major stuff at the minute in the beta version that makes me go, yeah, this is much better than Elementor. Yeah, that's just my opinion. And it is still a beta version, don't forget, right? It is just a beta version. So when we do get the final, and it is still new, right? Elementor's been around so long now. I know me and Paul have debated about, well, what's the future of Elementor? Could it fail? What's the investment doing? Where's it going? But regardless of that, I think Elementor will still be here in 3-4 years' time, whatever form it's in. Breakdance, is it going to turn into, a you can't touch this moment? Where are we going with it?
Yeah, I think if you look at the sort of the overall message with what they're trying to do with breakdance, and I'm going to come on to some other comments and things in a minute as well. These are not so much questions; they're comments that I think are worth talking about and addressing. But you have to bear in mind, and I've said this in plenty of other live streams before, if you're a new product to market, there's only a couple of ways that you can make an impact. And generally, you want to disrupt the market. That's either going to be your pricing or your features. Do you know what I mean? When you consider when Bricks launched just over a year ago, what it did was it came to market with a lot of things that it took, plugins like Elementor, several revisions to actually get out. So they looked at the market, they looked at what the competition were doing, they looked at the frustrations people had, and they tried to address that. So when they released version 1, that's what, I know it's still kind of considered to be like a beta thing at the moment, but let's just say version 1, when that was released, their objective was, we'll disrupt the market with the feature set. We'll launch with a pile of things. We'll put a clear roadmap about all the things. You can upvote what you think is the most important. And they've made efforts right the way through that last 14 to 16 months to listen to what people have asked for, listen to feedback, criticism, and everything else, and develop the builder in the right direction while fostering a healthy community and listening to what people want and building that product. So they've disrupted the market in that respect. Could they have made a bigger impact if they brought a free version out as well? More than likely, because I think that's what set Elementor up, was because the free version came out, the best part of probably 8 to 12 months before the pro version came out. So it was, take our builder, do what you want with it, give us feedback, and we will build it. And there's a pro version coming out in the future. So they came to market by disrupting it compared to like Visual Composer and Divi and all those kinds of ones, which didn't have a free platform to work on. So that was market disruption. Yeah. Worked well. Bricks, same thing.
Yeah.
What exactly is Breakdance doing to disrupt the market? Yes, they're coming out with good features, but those features are predominantly available inside most of the other builders now. The other thing is that they said the whole point of Breakdance was that it's meant to be the beginner's page builder. It's not going to be replacing Oxygen. Yeah. It's going to be something for people that are not at that level of building websites. This is going to be more your Elementor level and maybe easier in certain respects. But yet, before it's even released, they're starting to put in what I would consider to be quite advanced features. Your widget builder. How many beginners in WordPress that literally can just about put together a page design are going to go, I know, the next thing I'm going to do is build my own widget and start coding it.
I don't even do that. I don't build widgets. I just don't.
But this is kind of where I'm coming from. It's like there's a very confused message, and I don't think that helps. It's like what it's doing, there's a lot of things it's doing, like the mega menu, for example. It is a very, very well done. And as a builder, I know people saying like, oh, it's an alpha product and a beta product and it's only just come out. But let's be brutally honest about it. It's had 3 years development prior to being released as an open alpha. So it's not a new product. It's just new to market. But then you have this sort of the sort of debate about the pricing side of things and not necessarily understanding what the market is. So I just kind of feel like there's a very confused message from the product, what it's intended to try and be, from the people behind it, the pricing model that's going around it. There's all this kind of confusion. And I think, if I'm honest about it, I think this was a big part of why Oxygen never garnered the success it probably could have done. That peaked at about 30,000 users, which is respectable numbers, but nothing in comparison to some things like Divi or Elementor, Visual Composer back in the day. So what's the reasoning behind it? You think as a business, you would look at what didn't work, the lifetime pricing structure. They would never offer a sale, even though it's now on sale. And it's like there's always this confusion of message about what are we, how much are we going to charge, and all those kinds of things. But anyway, I've digressed a little. Couple of quick points that I think are worth noting. So, WP Tonic, good to see you in tonight. You're forgetting the single site license clients will probably generate a lot more support tickets. Now, I've heard this argument many, many times, and I've got to be honest, I don't buy it. I really don't. I'm not saying that there won't be a slightly higher percentage of single site licenses, but let's be honest about it. Why should you penalize an individual that wants to use your product over an agency? And most of the time, once you've kind of answered those initial stumbling blocks, and if you have a good product that's well developed and well designed, and there's good walkthroughs and good help and support and things like that, and a good forum and a network, you can alleviate a lot of that. And the second thing is, if you're that bothered about it, put a system into place that says you have ticketed support. So when you buy your $49 license, you have 2 support ticket requests, and then you can buy blocks. Other companies did this in the past, and it's a way of creating additional revenue streams for people that would generally be a drain on your support network and your technical support and so on. There's ways to deal with this. Lots of ways to look at it. But no, go on. You were going to say something.
No, what I was going to say is like Elementor has their support team in, but it is well documented and well discussed that people always have issues with response time or what support they get from the official team. When you have so many users on Facebook or in a group, the group becomes a support team. I am not employed by Elementor, but I go out my way to help out. There are tons of other people who help out a lot as well. So whether there was like 20 people using breakdowns or 1 million people breakdowns, in fact, if there's 1 million people using it, because they now buy into it with, say, a $79, one license, whatever, they're going to learn, they're going to understand, they're probably going to be willing to help each other out. So the whole thing about, the support structure would get overrun by requests, I just don't buy into that. I mean, look at Elementor. There's no way they've got a team to handle 15 million, whatever activations or licenses or whatever. They don't have a team big enough to handle all of that. However, I know there's issues, but you have the group. So if Breakdance want to kind of help spread the good word and they want to like build that community of experts and all of that, I mean, look, I have made very clear to Louis that I'm keen to play around, get dirty with breakdowns and create tutorials free of charge, just like I do for Bricks and Elementor. There's no cost involved, right? There's no affiliation, nothing. I'm happy to create training videos because it helps me in my understanding and it helps other people too. But I'm going to be really brutally and honest and say at the moment, I just don't have the appetite because I feel like at the moment they're alienating the people I think that are going to, that potentially could be using it. And I just find it a little bit, I said this earlier to Paul before we did the live chat, it starts to feel a little bit like if you're not rich enough to get the $149, you're not good enough to use breakdance. And there is a part of me that senses a little bit of that. That's just my interpretation. I am a bit crazy in my thinking, but I just think that if I'm going to create videos, I want to know that I'm helping out Mr. Smith, someone in their 80s who's sat in a little garden office, with a rug over their leg and their cup of soup and they're learning breakdowns. I want to create videos to help them out. But at the minute, I just don't have that appetite.
I think you need to go back and look at your perfect user avatar there.
Yes, yeah. That is my avatar. That is my perfect user.
Say nothing then. Okay, so Chris Krochak has got a good point here, and this is something that maybe this is a way to look at handling some of these things. Is what happened to the good old days of software licensing when you paid for version 1 and then when version 2 came out you could buy an upgrade at a discount. I mean, the Affinity tools, that's a good example of that. When the next version comes out, you'll have to pay again. You'll probably have a discount. But when you've had, let's say, a year or 18 months worth of use out of something, when the next version comes out, you think, okay, I want the new spangly features. It's no different really to renewing your license, but you're getting a new version of it and the previous one becomes a legacy. So, maybe this is a pricing model that some companies need to sort of take for a test drive and kind of go back to that way of working. You never know. Maybe that's a better way of actually handling the licensing as opposed to what's currently going on now. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it working, but then again, I prefer to go down the model whereby, once you pay for it, as long as you pay annually or if it's a lifetime deal, that you're always going to get the latest version. But It can work. It can work, yeah.
Okie dokie. And Andrew, very dodgy looking geezer this one is. I don't think I'd trust him as far as I could throw him. But so the Divi lifetime deal is astounding. It's very rarely mentioned in these. Also, grandfathered Elementor deal, and that will do for me. I mean, I've got to say, I think Divi is definitely one of those sort of exceptions to the rule. Because I know that with Divi, and I'll get the pricing structure side of things now. I mean, Divi's kind of had the lifetime deal at, is it something like $199 for forever, pretty much. And you've got the annual pricing that you can kind of buy. But again, I mean, this is where the sort of strange pricing structure kind of comes in. But there we go. I mean, ignore the fact that we got a discount on at the moment, but you're talking normally $89 and $249 for the lifetime. You know, it's working for them. I think the only thing that worries me with this kind of pricing structure is you constantly have to be getting new clients through the door, new customers, because probably most people, once they've tested it out, will probably jump over if they use it on more than one website to the lifetime, because you're talking what, roughly twice the amount of money to go unlimited lifetime. But like I say, I think Divi's an exception to the rule here that it works for them. You know, however they're going about it, it works for them. And, you know, you can't deny the fact that it does.
Yeah, and what I will say is that George Nicolau, who is a big user of Divi, he did tell me today that actually Divi now has done a lot of improvements in their features, and he feels like it's on par with Elementor Pro now. Which I was surprised to hear that, actually. So if anyone out there is considering using Divi, again, this is another model. So please don't, just because I use Elementor, I am now a lot more open-minded, and we're not biased towards anyone. And I can tell you now, I know it might sound like we're criticizing Breakdance. We're not. If Breakdance just sort out their pricing model, I will happily use it, get it, do tutorials on it, play with it, dance with it. Just right now, I just feel like I'd rather spend the money on Pepsi Max.
Well, you do that anyway. You're a bit of a, you know.
I know I would, regardless.
Slightly addicted to it. But yeah, like I said, I think that is the kind of thing. It's like, you know, there are always going to be exceptions to the rule. Nothing is ever straightforward in life. There's like everything is the same. And we've got another comment here, which I think is worth bringing up, saying, but Breakdance does have a 60-day money-back guarantee. And you're right. I mean, that does take away the risk, but it doesn't change the fact that you still got to fork out $149 in this example, and then up to $349 for whether you have 1 site, 10 sites, or 1,000 sites. It still costs you the same amount of money. So you've got to kind of work for the lowest common denominator. What we're kind of talking about here is where companies won't have a single site license. And when you take that away, if someone only wants that single site, they only have one site, and they're only ever going to want to use it on one site. When that price is $349, they're paying $349 for a single site license, and that's where you know, that's where the logic kind of starts to falter.
Yeah, and like I said, if you're building a website for a charity, and they're trying to be very tight on like how much they spend on hosting and whatever, but you're trying to protect them to not make the wrong decision making. I'm one of those people who would not feel. I know they're paying for it. So I'm not losing money. They're paying me for a website, so who cares? But I personally would not feel right knowing that I've put them into I've used a product that's going to cost them $1,000 over 3 years. That hurts. That would hurt me mentally in terms of like, I want them to be successful or anything like that. And I just think that, a lot of businesses, they want to get a website. There was a big rush of people getting websites done during the lockdown. And I've seen so many suffer and fall down because they didn't think about their SEO properly. They weren't thinking about their marketing or their business plan or their strategy, their social media. They weren't thinking about all of that. And if you start getting them to pay $149 or whatever dollars a year, that hits their surplus or whatever they've got to put into other resources to help their promotion of their website. And I would rather know that I've given them a solution that's going to work for them. Hopefully they're still here in 5-10 years time, because the longer they're running, the longer they might come back to me to work with them to upgrade their website or do things in the future as well. What I don't want to do is go and use this, $149, and then for me, it's just a lot of money. It's just a lot of money on top of look, if you start putting it in together, the cost of your domain, the cost of your hosting, the cost of Breakdance, maybe they might need 1 or 2 other plugins, maybe premium plugins. And that's before you even factor in the cost of building the website. That's a lot of overheads for them. And I've seen it break companies where they were ill-advised by someone else and they're paying through the roof now and they're trapped. Look, come on, let's be honest here, right? Okay. How many times you've had a client come to you from Wix, and I'm like, sorry, I'm not touching Wix. We got to move to WordPress, and you can see the pain on their face because they've paid someone a lot of money for whatever they're doing, and it's like, look, Louis, if you're watching, right, open invitation, right, live chat. You know, there's no criticism, there's no one throwing things, right. Let's have a good discussion about why you don't want to consider a $79, or I tell you what, prove us wrong. Put out the $79 model. In fact, you could even go to $89. There you go. I'll give you $10 extra. Just do something to help out the charities and the smaller websites who are taking a big risk with getting a website built.
Fingers crossed that'll be taken up. So we'll see what happens over the next week or two.
Yeah,
we'll see. Joy's got a good point here, which I quite liked. Unfortunately, I think that you spend more time on this during this session than the companies combined. They seem more grabbing a number during a coffee break. Well, you could be right. You could absolutely be right. Who knows? But what I would say, while you're all commenting and leaving questions and things like that, which is fantastic, hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the conversation tonight. Just let us know that you're enjoying it, and let YouTube know that you're enjoying what we're doing as well. So we've got a couple of other things on here that I think is worth noting. Eduardo says a very good comment, which is, let's not make excuses. Breakdance is the heir to Oxygen. I think the only person that is denying that is probably the developer behind Breakdance. I would say if you take a look in a year's time, I think Oxygen is going to be pretty much non-existent. It's going to be legacy users that have clients to maintain. And I think a lot of the features that are currently in Oxygen will move over into Breakdance, because we already know that a lot of people that are Oxygen users and were staunch Oxygen supporters that had a lot of features that were requested that were never included, and they've all pretty much made their way into Breakdance. So you can kind of understand why there's a lot of people that are a little bit annoyed. But we'll say no more.
Absolutely, yeah.
So let's have a little look at what else we have in the comments. I've seen a couple of different ones on here. So there's lots of little comments going on questions and things going on behind different people. So let's have a little look. Josh, how is Bricks disrupting the market? All I hear about is the clean code and speed. What else? Do you need more?
What I'm going to say is that I'm very used to Elementor. You know, I love it. I can walk through the street and think of a solution and go away and apply it. But there's always a bit of a barrier, especially when it came to like custom loops and stuff like that. And when you play around with Bricks, and bear in mind, I touched it for the first time about 4 weeks ago, and I was like blown away by the optimization scores that you get with it. Like, trust me, you got to try it out. Custom loops, global classes. When you build a WooCommerce store now, you can rearrange so many features of it. And I've already started counting down that, well, I don't use Woolentor or Woolementor or any of them. I don't use them. But for anyone that does, those two now have gone out of fashion. Shop Engine, gone out of fashion. Themify, product filter. Bricks gives you an amazing product filter system. Themify's gone out the window now as well. I think you'd still need asset cleanup if I was building a website. But Auto-Optimize, I think I could ditch that. WP Fastest Cache, Lightspeed, I could probably ditch those as well. And you know, there's so much stuff it gives you within the tool that I was blown away. I was getting ready to hate it. I thought, right, Paul likes it. Loads of people, Carapos who's on here, loads of people say, go on, Imran, have a go. And I'm like, no, I love Elementor. That's my tool of choice. And I was just blown away, right? I will still use Elementor, but I can tell you now, Bricks, I tell you what Bricks are really good at. They don't go there like blowing their trumpet. So Thomas, the developers, the people behind it, they don't sit there making claims. I have not yet seen any promotion that starts going, yeah, we're better than Elementor, we're this, we're that. They're just quietly developing their stuff. And anyone who's kept up to date with Bricks and their updates, I mean, damn it, man. They had the 1.5 beta about, 3 weeks ago? Then they had the release version of it, and then like within a week you had the final version. And look, I love Elementor, but Flexbox Container, when's the final version coming out, right? So, and the fact they give you a roadmap and they give you an idea of what's coming out. Okay, they don't have Mega Menu now, but they will have mega menu. But in all honesty, even though I keep saying to Elementor, where's the mega menu? I've only used the mega menu on one website. On all the websites we've built, we only used it once. So even though I say to Elementor, come on, get it out there, I'm saying that for the audience and because I want to do a video on it, that's all. But do I really care whether they get it out? Not really. And I could probably say to a lot of people, how many times do you use a mega menu? So Breakdance's got it, great. Bricks will have it. But here's how I see it. Elementor is mainly meant to be built for people who have no understanding or knowledge of how to build a website. You jump in and you start building bit by bit by bit. Breakdance is trying to say that it's better than Elementor, but they're also trying to target that, I don't want to say no knowledge, but basic user base, right, who just want to build basic websites. They want to clinch the Elementor users, the Wix people, all of that, right? They're also developing some stuff which is a bit advanced. Now, Bricks isn't saying it's dead easy. I have to be honest, it is dead easy. But they have a load more advanced features. But I can tell you now, if you understand Elementor and you understand drag and drop, right, or you're familiar with Wix, you will be fine with Bricks. I'm telling you now, you don't have to do the custom loop. You don't have to go crazy on the global styles. You don't have to rearrange all of the WooCommerce fields if you don't want to. Just take it as it is. You don't have to do that. But what Bricks does is I think it offers you a whole load more opportunities. That being said, so does Breakdance. Okay, it's got advanced features. But like I've said about 1 million times today, unless they think about their pricing structure, I'm not breaking a dance on Breakdance just yet.
Oh, the one-liners, they're amazing.
I know.
Okay, Yanis has got a good point with regard into sort of pricing. Saying Bricks community is asking Thomas to switch sometime to yearly pricing to keep his income coming. That's a great example of people supporting the developer. It's also a great example of a developer that supports his community and listens to what his community wants, that they are that invested in the product, the company, and the people behind it, that they want to switch over and want to pay you. I mean, that says a lot in itself for the respect that a lot of people have for Thomas and Bricks and what's actually being done there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the lifetime deal, if you get it now, it's almost like anyone who gets that, you're like the founding fathers and mothers and people of Bricks. You're helping to give them that initial boost of investment to help get things done and all of that, and reward them for their hard work. And it makes absolute sense that going forward, they go to a pay yearly model, because we pay annually for Elementor and lots of other products out there. You know, I mean, come on. There are some people out there that are paying $199 for WooCommerce subscriptions. That is madness, right? Whoever buys that add-on. I don't know why people do that. But if they move to an annual one, it's now $79, or even, I mean, they have said the $79 is a discount of $99. I hope they don't go to $99 and just do $79 a year. I hope they just do that and keep it at that. But it makes absolute business sense, and I won't be upset if they do that, because they've got it. It reassures us that they're not just going to have their initial investment and then fall over later on and not have the further investment or resources to develop and get better and better with hiring more staff as well. So it makes absolute sense.
Right, just another one that I think is definitely worth addressing, which is if a business can't afford $149 per year, they've got bigger problems. Now, the business I'm assuming we're talking about here would be the web design business that's kind of passing that off to the potential client. And I get the point. I do get the point. But if we're going to focus solely on Breakdance with this pricing structure, it goes beyond that. If Elementor, for example, or Divi or Bricks, when it comes out, was at $149, and it was a proved product that had an established history of updates, support, all those kinds of things, then yes, I would agree. $149 for what they can do for you. And if you charge, even if a minimal charge of a website was like $1,000, you're still making $850 profit based upon just using that page builder. No argument with that. The argument is not about the actual price. The argument is the reality that some people won't entertain having a single site license. So if you said that the single site license was $149, what would the price for 100 sites be? $1,000? And okay, if that's what the cost of doing business was, and the product was making you a good solid income, absolutely, you'd pay that every day of the week. If you had 100 clients and they were giving you, let's just say it was a £5,000, $5,000 website, cost 150 quid, you then pass that on to them every single year, as long as you clear it up front, that's fine. That works perfectly. The problem is not the actual physical amount of money. The problem is the reluctance to provide just a single site license. You don't need multi-licenses. That's more. It's not necessarily specific about the pricing. Yes, some tools are worth every single penny and some are totally undervalued. But also, some are way overvalued. I mean, if you go back a couple of years ago, your typical Pro Form plugin was like $400, $300-$400. And it wasn't conversational forms and it wasn't all the conditional logic and all that kind of stuff you have now. We're talking about a step up from what you've got from your typical Elementor form, relatively simplistic in comparison to what you have now. Yet all that done for a business was you could have a form that it did one thing, did very well, and then you compared it to something, we'll use Elementor or Divi, that comes in at like $49 to $89, which allows you to build an entire site with dynamic data, WooCommerce integration. There's a bit of a disparity there between those two prices. And there were several different kinds of plugins. So where's the problem? Is the problem that Elementor or those kinds of things are way too cheap? Or is it that the form builder tools in this example were way too expensive? For me, I would say it's the latter. The comparative level of what you could do with them, if you were a very niche product, you were catering for a very specific kind of form, like a quote builder, a step-by-step quote builder with all the different things you might need that would do all calculations and stuff behind the scenes, that's a very niche product and therefore would be worth that kind of money. So you kind of have to weigh up, well, what are you getting with this compared to this? And when this is like 5 times the price of this and it does 1/5 of what it does, there's a disparity there between the two. And I think that's where that kind of comes in. So I don't think it's a problem with the cost. I think it's the problem with the reluctance to be realistic about not everybody wants unlimited or 100 or 25 or 50 or 1,000, whatever licenses. There's got to be flexibility and understanding of the market. And I think maybe that's what's missing, is that understanding of the market. And then when things fail, blame is passed. Oh, well, we tried everything. It's like, maybe you didn't try everything the right way.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an analogy now, because I love doing my ridiculous analogies that just come to mind. Is, right, sports store, right, they sell football shirts, and they basically say to, like, you got everyone supporting a particular team in a city, and they all want to buy the latest football shirt, and the shop says, we're not going to sell you one t-shirt. We know there's 1,000 people here who want to buy a t-shirt. They're all queuing up, but you can't have one t-shirt. We're only going to sell to agencies that buy 22 shirts for their entire team. So you come in, and if you spend the money for 22 t-shirts, you can have it. But we're not going to let you buy one. So you've just cut off 1,000 people. And these 1,000 people could be very rich people. They could be people that will help you out. They got knowledge and all of this, and they could help you, develop the product and, embrace it and all of that. But because you only sell one, the agency, I just feel like you're just cutting off the market. And why is Elementor so big? Some of it is down to the fact that it did disrupt when it came around and it did things very different. But I think the crux of it is they gave you a free version, because we know a lot of people are still using Elementor free. They've never upgraded to Pro. They have Elementor free and loads of add-ons and stuff like that. They're happy to do that. But then we have the people that went for the Pro, and because the price was accessible, because it's an accessible price, right? People are ready to have a go. And you got to be honest here, right? If I want a burger, I can go to McDonald's and get a triple cheeseburger for whatever, a couple of quid or whatever, or I can go to a restaurant and pay £10 for a burger. So, but you'll have more people that probably go to McDonald's because it's more accessible. So I think that all we're saying is just make it more accessible. I mean, I've said this to Louis. I keep saying to him, you look at the amount of people that use Elementor. You take 1%, not 10%, just 1%. And you give them one license and they go in and have a go. And maybe after 60 days they like it or not or whatever, but you give them a go and they like it and they stay on with you. And maybe they are an agency. They've taken the risk, they like it. They're more likely now to jump up to the 149. In fact, I said to him, you now could just set it at 349. Forget the $200 discount you're doing now. Just go in at 79 and set the next one up at 349. So, you know, you're going to make much more of a profit out of that way. But he just does not want to see it. He just doesn't want to see it. And it's disappointing. I would like, you know, for someone who was doing Oxygen, who went through the business and all of that, it just feel there is something I have at the back of my mind, and I don't want to say it. And part of me wants to say it is that what I don't want him to do is just kind of be thinking, well, I want to make lots of money now. So I'm going to say it's $149, and I'm going to make loads of money on it now. And if it fails or whatever, I don't care. I got loads of money for it. That's why he doesn't want to go for the 79, because he's thinking that, well, I've now halved my profit from 149 to 79. I hope I'm wrong with that. I probably am wrong with that, but I just feel like, you know, look at the Elementor model. You know, I mean, bricks, I would like to, in fact, someone did post something on the bricks community today. I saw it, and I don't know how much truth was in it, and they said it looked like there was going to be a free version for 14 days. So there'll be a free version for 14 days, and you get everything. And then you have the paid models. Now, it was a proper screenshot, and I don't know where they got that from. So maybe there will be a free version. Who knows? But the Elementor model, it works, right? It's like WooCommerce. I do not like the WooCommerce add-ons because you pay a lot of money for stuff. I don't like how much you got to pay. But WooCommerce is free. Mm-hmm. You can use it, you can abuse it, you can do what you want with it. I mean, if you want the extra stuff, you can either get an add-on or go and get a different plugin. It is entry to the tool and the product. But here, I mean, I have no idea when the final version is out. When the final version's out, will they stop letting people download the beta? I don't know.
Probably.
You know, it's very grey. Yeah, I mean, it feels like they will probably stop it.
Yeah, I think they probably will. I mean, the other thing that I would rather see companies, you know, embrace. Let's use again breakdance as the example because it's new, it's fresh, it's a lot of interest in it. I don't like the unlimited model. I don't like the 1,000 site license model. I would much rather see if you like you just said, if you said $79 for one, $149 for 5 sites, and $349 for 100 sites. Now, when you've got someone that's paying $349 and they've got 100 clients, they should be making, or they should have made, way more than they spent on that actual license. And then they buy the next 1, 5, 100, whatever it is, with the ability to go, if you buy one license and you want to go up to the 5 licenses, let's just say you paid 50% for one over, then when you want to upgrade, you pay pro rata to go up to the next level. So you'd pay the difference and you'd then go up to the 5-site license, and that would last for the remaining time because you paid the difference. The same thing then goes when you want to go to 100-site licenses. I think when you go over that, unless you're charging the $1,000 kind of thing, I don't see there's a benefit in it for most people. 1,000 or an unlimited, they're just figures that most people will never ever use. Whereas I think if they stop doing that, if companies just said there's 1, there's 5, there's 25, and there's 100, that's it. Because then when you kind of go past that, go on.
I want to quickly interrupt you, and then you carry on. Keep what you're saying in your mind. Right now, if anyone out here has got unlimited licenses or 1,000 licenses for Elementor, Divi, or anything you got, start putting down the name of the product in the comments and how many licenses you've actually used. Let's just see what we get here. So I'm not just talking about Elementor, any product or plugin that you use. Put down, and you've got unlimited or whatever. Start putting down the product name and the number. You got 10 seconds. Go.
But no, I think it is. I think these figures are pointless. I do. I think if they stopped doing that, I think there would probably be a lot less people getting sort of like this strange perception that they're getting immense value for money. And maybe there would be a better pricing model across the board where it was more realistic figures, 1, 5, 10 or whatever, and then 100. And people go like, oh, but why would you want that many tiers? Because different people are going to fall into different tiers. A small freelancer may not have more than 25 clients. They might not be able to work with more than 25 clients on an ongoing basis. But an agency may have 200 clients. Well, they've got to maintain 2 lots of licenses, but they're going to be making more than that money back anyway. Unlimited sounds nice, 1,000 sounds nice, but the reality is they're just figures that don't mean anything to most people. Unless you were doing what, the reason that the Elementor give the reason for getting rid of the unlimited license, where you were just literally going onto Fiverr and giving those licenses away, basically, because you paid $200 and you were charging 10 quid to build a website with Elementor Pro in it. But that still didn't fix the problem, if you ask me. But anyway, I just think if there's a more sensible approach. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, just highlight the question Marcus just put. He said something which was really true, and I'm just going to pick up on it. Marcus Burnett, I don't know if you can see it, but basically what Marcus is saying is the analogy I made doesn't make sense, because it's like saying to Porsche, you got to make a more accessible version of a car for 15,000. The trouble is, though, Porsche are renowned. When Porsche first set up, they weren't renowned, right? When they first came out with Ferrari, all of these big companies, Bugatti, all of them, they weren't renowned, right? They are now well known, okay? And it's a bit like, it's like saying like the iPhones or whatever, or whatever you use. When something is very well known and you know what you're getting and you know it's working, it gives you the performance you need, people pay the premium, So, but Breakdance is not Porsche. In a way, you could say that Elementor is the Porsche, right? And Bricks is kind of like, it's on the scene. It still has to, it's good, but it still has to prove itself in the long run as well. It's growing, it's improving. But Breakdance, you can almost say, I'll tell you what, Breakdance is like, visualize 1996 when Vauxhall Corsa came out. And you had all the supermodels in the world doing adverts on TV, right? You had all of them, Cindy Crawford, Naomi, all of them doing adverts. This was the sexiest car ever. It was one of the ugliest cars ever, right? And I know they've improved it over time, but the Vauxhall Corsa, a car's going to come out and it's got to prove itself. And if it proves itself and people like it, the price goes up because the value goes up. But even BMWs, I don't know the history of them, but when they came out, I don't think, in comparison to other established cars, were they able to attract that high price market kind of thing? So I know what you're saying, but it's not comparable.
I think a better example would probably be cars like Kia. Because, if you consider when they came out, that sort of, if I remember rightly, Kia and those kinds of things, they're all Korean, if I remember right. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure they're Korean.
They are Korean, yeah.
So what they do and what they still do, we've literally just bought a Sportage a couple of weeks back. What they do is they've shoved all of the toys onto it because they wanted to disrupt the market. So literally, I was talking to my partner today, and she's going like, this has got all the toys on it, comparing it to the car she had before, which is like an Astra Elite that had all the bits and pieces on it. And she's like, this has got all the things. I don't know what model it is. And she said, I don't think there is a model on it. And that's the thing. It's like with the Sportage, they literally have, you've got your Apple CarPlay, you've got your Android AirPlay, you've got leather seats, you've got heated front and rear seats, panoramic sunroof, leather dash, everything, all the toys are on it. Why? Because that disrupted the market in comparison to other 4x4s that are around the same kind of price. And it was the base model for the same price. So do you get an inferior car? No. You get a superior car in many, many ways with lots of toys on it that were all optional extras, and they all come as standard. It's literally all the bits and pieces on it. And the thing is, if you consider something like the Sportage, this is now probably 15 years old in the UK, if not older than that. It's their top-selling vehicle out of the entire Kia range in Europe. And in the UK, they sell more Sportages than they do all of the other Kias. They don't need to be doing that anymore. They don't need to be putting all those toys in there, but they still do because it still separates them from their competitors, the VWs, the BMWs, the Audis, that all have the brand snobbery. Now, I will say one thing. Both myself and Imran do drive BMWs, so take that for what it's worth.
We do.
But yeah, so I understand where you're coming from, the comment was coming from, and there's a certain sort of argument to that side. There's also a certain argument, I think, to the other side. But to go back to Imran's question about how many licenses are most people using, we've got a couple of comments. So we've got Black Jay's Elementor 12, Jacob 7, T20, who's obviously into role playing. Best is maybe 50 of the unlimited. Ingvar, 85. Thrivecart 7, Elementor Pro, so you kind of get the idea, Elementor roughly 50, Mark, Elementor 60 plus, Divi 300 plus for now, but how long have you been using Divi, George? I mean, I know, as Imran said, you've been into Divi for a long, long time, so chances are you've been doing this several years. I mean, Greg's a good example. Divi 158, Bricks 12, Elementor Pro 20 out of 1,000. So I think even if you go for Divi, and you said that was 1,000 licenses, you literally are only 20%, well, 15%, 16% into your overall. And if you had that, you were grandfathered in from that original sort of 99 renewal fee from about 4 years ago. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's nothing. I mean, Bruno, Divi 40, Oxygen 30, Bricks 10, except for some local test sites. So no one comes anywhere close to that kind of limit.
Exactly.
And I can imagine if we said to Greg, okay, so you've used 158 of your Divi licenses. What if that was set to 100? Would you have objected to having to buy another 100 licenses, or however you wanted to sort of stagger that if you were given that ability to pro-rata jump up between the levels? Because I would have thought, unless you're doing charity work, that by the time you've done all of those, you've made more than enough profit to be able to buy all those licenses probably 100 times over.
Yeah.
Most people are not getting anywhere near close to those kind of licenses. Darren, Elementor Pro 50 plus. You're kind of getting the idea. Bart, obviously, he's making way too much money, and he's obviously driving Porsches. That's all we're going to say.
And I tell you what, though, is that like, I hope I don't ever get to that situation where like all my clients leave, or they stop, working with us or whatever. And I only have like 1 or 2 clients left with Elementor, and you're still paying $199 a year for it, and you go, what the heck am I paying this for? And then you got to have that difficult conversation. You go, look, we're not going to provide it now. You've got to buy it yourself. Is that fair on the client now? Because at the time when you made the deal and the contract with them, it was part of their care package. So, it's I think when you're an agency or even freelancers, when you know that you can get like hosting with unlimited bandwidth or whatever, we get swept by it, don't we? We start to go, oh yeah, and we start to do the calculations on an Excel spreadsheet about, well, this is what it works out to, and this is how much we're saving.
Projections.
But now, and now, God, I love doing projections. But now I'm very much like, any new client that comes along, we will explain to them, here's the tools you need to buy it, because I now just feel like, I don't want to feel like I am now forever supporting something that I might fall out of love with myself, but I feel like I've got to keep buying an unlimited package so I can pass on the cost to them. And I know people say, but you make a profit on it, but sometimes you can look at it and go, was it really worth the hassle kind of thing? So But what the results you're getting here are very similar to the results I was doing on my live chat, and it was just like, we all love to go, I've got the 1,000 licenses for 99 or 199. We're really proud of that we're not paying 999. But then when you look at it, you go, I really do wish now that I had just like stuck to one license for myself, and the rest I had just got the clients to buy themselves. And it's
I'm not too bothered, because I've been lucky enough that I kind of got in right at the beginning. So I literally paid $99 per year on renewal. So it's not the end of the world. I would keep that going even if I didn't have any clients, just for the fact that it means that I can carry on creating content where I think is, sort of valuable, using Elementor for various different things. But Marcus, I think this is a good point. I love Elementor and don't know much about breakdance, but I do think that a business should be allowed to target a higher value customer, like agencies. They do have to prove their worth, though. And I think that's the point I think that myself and Imran are trying to kind of convey, maybe in a very long-winded way tonight. But I think that's kind of what we're trying to convey when it comes to the breakdance pricing. In a year's time, in 2 years' time, when they've proven themselves, when they've exceeded, expectations, whatever kind of standard you place on these things, then they're justified. They can turn around and they say, well, we'll charge that price. And I don't think we're trying to say that they shouldn't charge the higher price for the higher tiers. I think that's not the argument we're trying to make here. I think the argument is more a case of, it makes more sense to have the lower tier entry, because that's kind of like your gateway drug into that product. If the product is that good and that solid, and you feel that once someone uses it, they will dump all their other tools, you have to give them the ability to want to try it. And when you charge, let's just say the $149 for an unproved product, forget the beta. The beta is irrelevant. Because when they release it, that's when, once people pay money, all that love, there'll be a lot more critical opinions thrown at it when money changes hands. When we don't pay for something, we can be very complimentary and a lot more understanding. When we pay for it, a lot of that goes out the window. When there's problems arise, which invariably they will, every tool has problems, there's growing pains, there's all those different things. Whereas the product, the support, anything, it could be a million and one different things. That's when you prove your worth as a product. So without that, at the moment, there's a lot of goodwill going towards it, because anyone can try it for no money whatsoever. And if you fall in love with it, brilliant. If you find 10 bugs in it that piss you right off, you go, it's a beta product or it's an alpha product. I'm sure they'll fix it. When you've paid money and those 10 things arise, you get a little less understanding, especially when that maybe happens after a couple of releases and you start to have more scenarios and you're working with clients and clients are phoning you up going, my site's gone, my site's not working, I can't log in, there's something wrong, I can't edit the page. Whatever it is, that will change the opinion of it. And you could see that with most builders once they go from a free model, like Elementor did with the free version, to their paid version, and things went wrong, people's opinions change. They become a lot less understanding of those problems when they arise. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think that Breakdance could quite easily just jump to the 349 now if they want. They could do that. There's nothing to stop them. So they can attract the higher one. All we're saying is just have the entry pricing at 79. So 79, 349. There you go. You'll get the one-man bands or clients who want to go for it, but you'll also get the agency pricing as well. So you keep everyone happy.
You do. Now, I'm very conscious of the fact that we've unusually overrun by about 20 minutes already, which is not the kind of thing we'd expect to do, Imran, is it? People could say that we don't have much to say, and we struggle with these live streams. So I'm going to say that I'm going to kind of wrap things up by here. Before I do, though, I just want to say that I'm going live again on Wednesday evening, but this is at 6 p.m. BST, British Summertime. That's GMT +1, so 2 hours earlier than tonight. I'll be coming on with David McCann and two other people behind Freemius. And there's a lot of people that are concerned with various different aspects of Freemius, the security side of things, data breaches, the data and information that's being kind of shared. So we're going to have a conversation and put your questions to two of the people behind Freemius, including the CEO of the company itself. So if you'd like to have been notified about that, make sure you sort of click the button on that particular video. It's on the channel. So hopefully plenty of you will join in and put your questions, your comments, and let us know your thoughts with Freemius. Would you use it? Would you not use it? Let me know. But apart from that, I'm going to hand you over to Imran one more time so he can let you know how you can find out about him, and then we'll wrap up tonight's conversation. So Imran, over to you, sir.
Yep, so look, if you ever want to get in touch to discuss anything we've done today or just anything about websites, or if you want support or you want to talk about bricks or just have a chat with us about anything at all, go and do a search on YouTube for Web Squadron. You'll find our channel. Make sure you like and subscribe our videos, and our details are in the videos, okay, for our Facebook group, emails, how many Pepsi Maxes I drink, stuff like that. But yeah, please do get in touch. And we do daily live chats, usually Monday to Friday, midday BST, where basically it's kind of continued conversations like this, but sometimes I probably more erratic in my behavior on there. I try to be very well behaved on calls, but I'm just all over the place sometimes. But yeah, see you soon.
Indeed you will, sir. Indeed you will. So let me just wrap this up tonight by saying thank you once again for joining in. If you've enjoyed tonight's live stream, make sure you hit that thumbs up button to let YouTube know that you like what we do. Thank you for joining in, taking the time to get involved, and I hope you've enjoyed everything we've talked about. So stay safe, look after yourselves, and I hope I'll see plenty of you on Wednesday where we can kind of have another discussion on other things to do with WordPress. Take care, everyone. I'll see you all soon.
Cheers. Bye.